said, was tuning my sat dish and picked up the Micro Effect radio show. You know, I've heard of that. I hadn't listened to it, but that's the one John Moore's on, isn't it?
I think it is, yes.
And there is a scientist on there who said they have backup plans to evacuate Florida and eventually the East Coast now that the oil is in the loop currents. The slick is releasing huge amounts of benzene. Benzene will flat out kill you. And telling people to stay away, said benzene exposure has serious health effects. Outdoor air may contain low levels of benzene from tobacco smoke, wood smoke, automobile service stations, transfer of gasoline, and it went through a number of reasons, but and things that it's in. But the indications were that let's see, the short-term breathing of high levels of benzene can result in death, while low levels can cause drowsiness, dizziness, rapid heart rate, headaches, tremors, confusion, and unconsciousness.
In other words, not good stuff.
Not good stuff at all. Says the major effects of benzene are manifested via chronic long-term exposure through the blood. Benzene damages the bone marrow and can cause a decrease in red blood cells, leading to anemia. It can also cause excessive bleeding and depress the immune system, increasing the chance of infection. Benzene causes leukemia and is associated with other blood cancers and precancers of the blood.
Well, I did hear that one of the major media guys that went down there, of course, you know, BP and the Coast Guard threw him off.
I saw that, yeah.
But he said he was sick.
Well, you know, we had been getting reports for a couple of days, Stuart. You remember down on the coast of Louisiana that people right down on the coast were becoming ill?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you know, we're not receiving a lot of news out of that area right now. But
well, they pretty well shut it off.
Yeah, yeah. But with this amount of damage that's being done, you know, with so much benzene plus whatever other, you know, you've looked at the video.
Yeah.
It looks like a volcano, but you can definitely see a lot of gases blowing out of there.
Yeah, quite a bit actually.
Yeah. So, and those gases are going to surface. They're going to hang in the atmosphere unless there's winds blowing a certain direction. But, you know, there's going to be a cumulative situation. Again, you can just say it kind of like volcanic ash accumulates, and it gets worse and worse and heavier and thicker, and people get sick.
Well, and eventually the United States government would be held responsible for it. So what's their excuse would be to, well, we've got to do a preemptive move here. The only break they may have, and I just picked this one up, says Gulf of Mexico loop current. A change in the loop current could give Florida a break from the oil spill. It says the current begins in the gap between Cuba and Mexico's Yucatan. Each second, millions of gallons of warm water shoot from the Caribbean Sea through the gap into the Gulf of Mexico. Underwater features called shells, along with the Earth's rotation, help turn the current east towards the Florida Peninsula. But every once in a while, it says, an eddy forms. If the eddy forms, it only lasts for a little while, like a couple months, and then it goes back to normal. Now, let's say the eddy forms. Let's just, because scientists are saying it may well do that. The oil, you just said, they say August. Now we're pumping in, nobody knows how much is going in there, really.
Right.
So we got a couple months reprieve while the oil slick builds and builds and builds.
Oh, it would be so massive. Yeah, you couldn't even calculate it, Stuart.
So now the oil, the Gulf goes back, the eddy, which it does, like if it only lasts for a couple months, and then it goes back to normal.
Now, the trouble is, these are hurricane months.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
That's a lot of the concern that I'm seeing on posts right now, is people are concerned that they'll have a hurricane situation come in that will, and one of the concerns I saw was that a hurricane would throw this into the fresh water supplies on the continent.
Oh, yeah, it would poison them.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, this Wayne Madsen, he has, well, first before I get into that, did you see the latest from InfoWars?
No, I haven't seen that today. I haven't been to that.
Kurt Nemo, he said